Hi, guys. This is Vicky. We're on another episode of Conversations Around the Table. And I'm very excited because I have one of my favorite people here, Laura. And we're just going to chit chat and get to know her more. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Vicky. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. There's a lot that I want to dive into, but I guess to get started is let's talk about how you came to be at Ideas Collide.
Sure. So when I was a junior in college, I was trying to apply for internships that would be relevant to my major. I was a marketing major. So I was really just going down Indeed and applying to a bunch of different random things. I wasn't really paying attention to what I was applying to. I was just putting things out there and hoping the universe would bring something back to me. And I got this opportunity at Ideas Collide, and I was really excited when I was kind of looking into the company more, prepping for my interview, and thought this is something that would be really cool to be a part of. So then it became an actual mission. I was really excited to pursue an opportunity here. So I ended up getting an internship. I was an intern part-time for an entire year starting in May 2018. When I graduated in May of 2019, I was able to join the team full-time as an account coordinator on the Best Western team. And then with everything in the COVID-19 pandemic, I had lost my job at the agency, but I kept good ties with everyone. I wanted to make sure that whatever work I was leaving behind, if it was picked up by somebody someday, it would have everything they needed to know. And so if there was ever an opportunity for me to come back, that door would still be open to me. Lo and behold, about a year later, there was an opportunity for me to come back. And then I was able to join the agency full time again as a content and communications manager.
I'm curious because that's quite a long time between, well, like when you first left and then came back, like a year. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure just based on what you said, when the opportunity came, you're like, great, love that. But at that time in life, you know, I'm assuming you were working elsewhere. How did you make that pivot? And also just like, I guess that initial decision to be like, okay, I'm going to now take this other risk or this other step when this opportunity opened.
I was kind of looking at everything in life, and the really only marketing thing I had on my resume was Ideas Collide, because I started as an intern, and I was thinking, this is kind of where my career has been, like my entire career has happened so far. So what can I do to either try something new or make myself a more like well-rounded professional? I went through a whole like little eat, pray, love phase where I was going to be a nurse for some reason, which I don't like blood or anything like that. So I don't know what I was doing. I think I was caught up in the COVID-19 nurse celebration. But I finally was like, okay, stay in your lane, Laura. And so I got a new job doing paid media and PPC, like pay-per-click marketing, which was very, very digital strategy focused. A lot of Google ads, like a lot of numbers, a lot of ROI, stuff like that. So that was completely opposite of what I was doing at Ideas Collide. And through that, I found that like, this is interesting to me, but I don't want to do this full time. Mm-hmm. I miss the creative opportunities at Ideas Collide, but I don't love the grueling details of project management. So I feel like there's an opportunity for me to find something that marries creative content and the digital reporting side, so that there's something where we're still doing things that are creative, but it's also backed by this strategy and PPC like mindset to make sure that they're actually performing. There's like a marriage between the two of those. So I actually got to talking to Alicia, and we had the same kind of mindset of the best marketing finds like a marriage between something that's cool, unique, and creative, but also something that works as far as like the numbers go and like the analytics and everything. So with my work at Ideas Collide, I was able to start my new position kind of with the idea that as a content strategist, I could help facilitate that relationship between digital strategy, analytics side, all of the reporting we were doing, and the creative team who were coming up with all these cool concepts to make sure that they were working together. And it was something where we were going above and beyond for our clients. So it wasn't as focused as my initial role at Ideas Collide, and it wasn't as focused as my role that I got after Ideas Collide.
Mm-hmm. And how would you say, because you've been in this new position, for those who are listening and aren't aware, but Laura recently made a switch into a more strategy-focused position. And I'm curious because even though what you talked about, it seems exactly right in your lane, but has there been, so far being in the couple weeks or the first few months of this, what have been some of the biggest like learning experiences that you've encountered so far?
I think because I spent so much time in my career in social media, it was really easy for me to apply these opportunities as far as content strategy, trends, and what works, that marriage between the two of those things to social media. And I was kind of approaching my role and what my day-to-day responsibilities would be around social media. Mm-hmm. But I was talking to my manager, Brian, and I was saying, I don't think this is limited to just social media. This applies to every aspect of the marketing funnel. It applies to pretty much every vertical we work on. And I want to be a well-rounded content strategist and that I can work on all of it. And so some of the challenges were me kind of getting out of that mindset of this is what I know works for social media and this is what's comfortable for me, for doing that extra research, going that extra step, learning things like SEO, learning things like what works best for email marketing mm-hmm. and things like that, so that when I approach the strategy standpoint, I have a wider lens and I'm able to explore different verticals that were previously outside my comfort zone.
Do you find the more that you work within social, like the less that you do it in your personal life? Or do you feel like you're able to just kind of maneuver back and forth really easily?
Absolutely. I rarely use Instagram like I did when I was in college. I was definitely one of those people who would go out with my friends, do photo shoots, try to come up with clever captions, mm-hmm. like make my social media something that was really cute and special. And it was for the longest time. And then you can kind of tell when I started doing it full time, and especially when I was writing social copy for our clients on the regular, every single time I posted on my own Instagram, there was either no caption or it was something that like didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Or like it was like my humor. And then I think it changed the way I use social media, and that I consume a lot less content as far as like trends and stuff that I'm interested in, because I get a lot of that at work. But instead, I find that the social media I use now is very niche. Like I'll stay on like subreddits. I look at a lot of Twitter because you can explore specific topics. I watch very specific like YouTube videos, stuff like that. So I would say I'm less general news feed scrolling mm-hmm. than I used to be, but I'm more, I think because I know how to use all the social media now really well, especially having to do it in my job, I'm very like specific and niche in everything that I do on social media now.
Which is funny because I feel like I'm a little bit the opposite, because I do it so much at work, or I've done it so much in a professional setting, when I go, I feel I'm more in the consumer side. Like I'm just watching videos and I'm looking at that kind of stuff than I do. Like there are times like with my feed, there's months between a post, but I was like, I know I'm still like alive and active. I'm just not as, I guess like not always putting myself as like on show, which that's not to say that people who do that. But I think as marketers, it's something that I've noticed over the last few years. I just feel like there's a shift between the balance of professional, and some people can do it. Some people do make it completely 100% who they are, and that's great. But I think there are definitely marketers out there who are just, it's not for them.
Sometimes I find that I don't even have nearly as many photos in my camera roll that I used to, because I don't think to take pictures of things anymore, because I would rather just live in the moment.
I take a lot of
try to capture it for social media. Yeah, I take a ton of screenshots. I have probably way too many screenshots of examples of like brands using Twitter well, or like we should do this for this. But that's something too. I definitely go several months without posting on my feed.
Was there ever a moment where you were like, I know I want to do marketing?
Yeah. So I went into college really interested to fashion. I wanted to do retail buying and fashion merchandising. There wasn't a merchandising major at my school. It was a strategic communications major with an emphasis in merchandising. I wasn't really interested in that because I didn't want to just get a communications major. So I went with marketing and I minored in merchandising. I ended up working at Deckers Brands, which is the company that owns UGG boots and Teva and everything, helping with their like online merchandising with their website and stuff. And that was really interesting to me. And I was interested in learning about the retail buying process. But the girl in the desk next to me was working on their marketing campaign. So she was working on like the website. She was working on the catalog. She was working on like social creative or emails or stuff like that. And everything she was doing just seemed so much more visual and creative than like what I was doing. And that's what I was kind of like, okay, I see how this is related to my passion. It is still related to fashion and consumer goods and stuff, but it's in like a more creative way than just putting stuff up on the website. So that was when I was kind of like, okay, I think I should explore more marketing as a way to be more creative. And then I married that with an internship I had at the Orpheum in Flagstaff, where I was their marketing intern and I helped make like posters for their up and coming shows. I did coverage during some of their shows and stuff like that. And that was really good for me in terms of developing marketing as a passion, because the Orpheum was a small like local business and it supported a lot of local artists. And so through my marketing, I was able to help get these people out there and help them pursue their passions. So it was kind of like, I don't have just one specific passion like music or art or anything like that I can pursue, but I have the talent to help others pursue theirs. And marketing provides me like a professional, like paying way to do that.
I can totally see you wanting, or even like now being in a position of fashion. Because even right now, like I'm sitting across from, I'm not the poster child right now for fashion right now. I'm wearing like shorts and a baseball cap. And Laura's version of casual is like a very cute top, very like trendy jeans and so forth. But I can always see that because I feel like I do see your personality very much in your style. You're still so young. You're 25, right? Mm-hmm. So even within this, so early on in your career, has there been a moment for you that you were just like, yeah, this is definitely solidifying that I'm exactly where I need to be, what I'm doing. I'm just kind of curious to know, you know, as marketers, we always have those moments when you can kind of pull back a little bit and just feel a little bit giddy about what you do. And I was curious, what was yours?
I would say it's definitely some of the work that we've been doing with Fresh Cravings, starting with the raw audience data from MRI, which was like 10,000 rows of just numbers and words on an Excel spreadsheet, turning that into like personas and something that we could understand what the consumer was. Then working with Bobby's team and turning that into messaging for those specific people. Then working with Whitney and the designers, making creative for that. And then just how Fresh Cravings is so open and collaborative and trying new things that are out of the box, or wanted to do fun things on social and push the envelope and do really fun creative and photo shoots and stuff like that. That was where I was like, I love being a part of this whole journey. And I love seeing how many little factors go into it. And whenever I look at that client, and I was explaining it to one of the interns the other day, when I look at a social post, I can explain to them that like this has a motion element because in my trend research, Instagram's prioritizing video right now. So we did an animation on this so that it would be registered as a video by the algorithm. Mm-hmm. This copy is specifically directed towards our persona, Nicole, because we know she's likely to use Instagram, and it has the certain messaging to align with that. And I love being able to look at a post that on surface level just seems like something in the feed. But when you know how much work goes into it and everything, you know how intentional it is. And it's not just like pasta we threw at a wall to see if it stuck. It was something that we really put a lot of work and effort into, and like are proud of the outcome and seeing it perform.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And also I very much can attest to that because, you know, I'm a couple years older than you, but I have always told you that I admire you as not only as a person, but also as a professional, because you have such a way about you that is, you fill some of the cups that I know maybe I see myself more half filled, and I think vice versa. And that's one thing that I definitely value about our friendship, but also our professional dynamic. But what are some of that you care to share, some of the goals that you have for yourself with your professional career?
Right now I'm in the process of like learning more about different accounts. I kind of onboarded onto Banner and learning about how they're working on stuff with the website and blog and everything. I'm really excited for some upcoming months as I'm able to kind of stretch my wings in content strategy outside of social media. And then I hope as a goal that I can be a relevant tool to be able to make sure that whatever content strategy we're developing is not only like thorough and that it's backed by real data, it takes into consideration trends that are relevant so that we're staying first to market and we're being valuable partners to our clients, but also that strategy carries all the way through the funnel. So it's not just like this is very visible on social media, but maybe this team that does something else isn't getting all the love from the content team, so it doesn't translate as much. I want to make sure that whatever we're producing, there's a consistent brand story everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll come with me being more in the know and more like growing my own knowledge on like our different verticals and how I can play a part in the strategy for them, which is exciting. Did you ask the second part as well as my like career?
Yeah, I'm just curious, like where do you envision yourself? Where do you hope to take, not necessarily this position, but more in a general sense of what I know we've kind of briefly talked a little bit that you definitely, adding on to that, want to grow a team and lead a team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one, obviously you're leading forward right now. So that definitely is helping with that growth direction. But if you wanted to further expand on that.
Sure. Yeah. So because I want to be kind of this person that can encompass all verticals and make sure a content strategy is going through every element of it, that's a ton of work. Like there's a reason that those are all specialized by people. Like the MKA team does what they do. Content team does what they do. Digital strategy does what they do. The person that bridges all those gaps can only go so deep in each area. So my hopes for a team someday is to have people who are specialized in each of those, so that there's something like someone who's specialized in email marketing trends, strategy, how we can make that the best for our clients. Someone who's specialized in web design and SEO and making sure that we're up to date with ADA compliance. We're up to date with practices that'll make our websites load faster or be more optimized for our clients. Like having people who are able to be subject matter experts in the different verticals, so that we can make that impact across everywhere, and make sure that whatever we touch basically is very intentional. We have a lot backing it, just like that social post that's backed by the trend for the video and the algorithm. The copy is backed by the audience research and the persona that we did, and finding out that we're able to make that impact on all the work we do.
Well, I have no question that that's going to happen, and that will be where things go. So I love that. So I want to kind of switch it up a little bit and get to know Laura outside of work. Do you think, because what you do at work is very strategic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the way that you are in life is also very strategic?
Yes, I definitely think what I do in life is very strategic. For example, I have a home office for the first time. Before, I was kind of like a floater in my own home. I technically shared an office with my fiance, Riley, but he was always on calls. I was always on calls. So I was either working in our bedroom, at our dining room table, on the couch, and I'm fine with that. I'm not really a stationary employee anyway. I like to be moving around. So now that I have my own office, I'm kind of thinking, how can I like strategically use this space? Because if I buy furniture for it, is it furniture that I can repurpose someday? Or is it furniture that I bought for this office, and then if I move, it's not going to make sense? Or I think of things like, this is the room that gets the best light in the house. So I want to make sure that I have like places to put my plants that are going to be out of the way. And then from there, it's like, okay, these plants need humidity, so I'll put them near my humidifier. These ones don't, so I'll put them on my desk. These ones look good in a Zoom background. So then it's just like probably to the point of overthinking. But every decision I make, I try to be strategic in that, what can I do?
Like the long term.
Yeah. What's like the long game here? Not just like the short term of like, this is fun.
And I can see that too. And I think I'm a little bit the same way. I probably don't think of it too much in that sense, but I love that. That's who you are. You're from Arizona, right?
No, so I was born in Massachusetts. I grew up in Minnesota, and then I went to high school and college in Arizona.
That's right.
So like a half and half.
And do you still travel back to Minnesota or Massachusetts? And
well, so we used to go to East Coast every single summer. So I'm very familiar with the area because both my mom and my dad extended family is there. My dad's family has cabins in Maine on Mooslick-McGuntick Lake. So we used to go there all the time. Or we go there every single summer. I'm not going this year. Sad. But my parents are there right now. They actually just bought their own cabin. So I might be able to work from there next summer. But we go back there pretty much once a year. Very close with that area. And then in Minnesota, I haven't really spent a lot of time back. I don't have a lot of family there. It was really just my immediate family that lived there. But ironically, my fiance Riley's whole family is from Minnesota, both his mom and dad's side. So we're actually going back in September for like a family reunion, which is like going to be a family meet and greet because none of us know any of them apparently. But
and I always find those like really, I used to do those a lot. We used to go to Mexico and do huge family reunions. And it would always be to the point where I'm like, I know 10 people and it's the 10 people I came here with. And then everybody else, I'm like, I just know my mom says that you're my cousin who like was married to so-and-so, whatever. And you just have that whole thing. But, and that's also interesting because you guys obviously are engaged. And so you guys already have so much history. And then now to kind of get introduced into this new wave of history.
Yeah.
Are you nervous? Like, are you good with like meeting new people or like in this case, Riley's family?
I'm really good with meeting new people. Riley's family, at least the ones that I've met, think I'm just so great. They think I'm like really cute and small and that I'm like so sweet. So I'm not like too nervous about that. I think I was probably more nervous in meeting his dad's side of the family because they're more like rough and tumble people that are also from Minnesota, but they do things like fishing and hunting and stuff like that. But we're meeting his mom's side of the family, which his mom and I are basically the same person. So I feel like I'll probably get along with them just fine. Right.
Because actually just before this recording, Laura was telling me about how Riley fell off of a
little like motorbike thing.
Yeah. And which is funny because then that kind of brings back when you were talking about being a nurse, because the way that you were telling about it, you're like, he's fine. He's fine. Which is, it's also, you're like, I drove him, I did this, it was very nurturing, but at the same time you're like, tough love, like, you got this, you can do it.
Yeah.
And we all need our own personal nurses like that.
Yeah.
And I think that it also speaks to, that makes sense why Riley would want to get on that and drive it around because it's, his dad's side is also very adventurous. Well, we talked about Riley so many times. Let's kind of dive in a little bit more about that. You guys are engaged. Mm-hmm. Congratulations. That's very exciting. And I've met him a couple of times and I think he's just a wonderful and such a match for you.
Thank you.
Because I can see you guys are very different. But I think there's a lot of like obviously a good common foundation there. And I think that helps when people are in relationships and they're so different. I'm all for that. I think that's actually makes it more exciting.
Yeah.
What are some of the, I guess, what do you say some of the differences are that now as you're coming into marriage, you're like, okay, well, this is it.
Well, we definitely have a lot of differences that like balance us out in a good way. So Riley is a financial analyst with General Dynamics. He's very, very like numbers focused, very analytical. I am like a very creative person. I like to think of myself as like a little bit of a free spirit. And so when it comes to like planning stuff for our home, I'll go out and I'll like buy all this cute home decor and like I'll spare no expense because I'll be like, this is stuff that's going to stay with us for a while. Like these lamps that I just got, like our kids are going to fight over them when we like pass away. Like I like think about this stuff. And he's the type where it's like this lamp, we could have gotten like a $10 one at Target and just like plugged it into the corner. And then I tell him things like, well, we spend like 90% of our time at home because we both work from home. Like we should invest in our nest and like make sure that our home is like a really comfy place to be. And he's very like, if it works, it works. And like, we don't need to go above and beyond just for XYZ or something. So he kind of reins me in a way that's realistic, but I also push him to be a little bit more creative. We're also wedding planning right now. So I was able to get really creative with our budget to get it to a place where he was like comfortable and like on board with everything. But the other day I was talking about how so we're getting married in March, but I was like, March is like kind of a tough time to travel because it's like springtime, things are thawing. If we try to go hiking like at Zion National Park or something, there's going to be snow melt, flooding, stuff like that. So I was like, let's do like a mini moon and then we'll do like a honeymoon later on. And he was like, why are we doing 2 honeymoons? And I was like, well, because we can do like a mini moon after we get married and then like a real honeymoon. And he was like, why can't the mini moon be our honeymoon? He's like, what are you saying? He's like, why are we doing these 2 massive vacations? I know. And he was like, what are you talking about with a mini moon? And I was like, you never heard of a mini moon? But I've decided on just like one bigger honeymoon.
Would Freddie be going with you guys on your honeymoon, or he's going to stay here? He's probably going to stay here with my parents. And Freddie's my dog. Yeah, Freddie is Laura's dog. Their child. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm also like, I could talk to you forever about like wedding planning because I think it's it's really is like it's a second job and then some.
Yeah.
Because like you said, there's a budgeting, and you have to have meetings and you have to like consult with
There's
people.
There's a lot of logistics.
A lot of logistics. But how do you feel at this phase with the wedding planning? Like you feel from here now it's just like rolling down the hill in a good way?
Kind of. So I'm getting married in March. The venue we chose has a lot of like decent stuff included. But with that, we won't make the big decisions on things like menu or flowers or anything like that until the 6-month mark, which is going to be in September. Mm-hmm. But before then, we had like all the just general logistics of like bridal party stuff, figuring out what we're going to do for our photographer, for our videographer, for like who's marrying us, like stuff like that. I'm like a pretty decent planner. So like the day after we got engaged, I like had our guest list like finished because I was like, we have to know our guest count first before we like tour venues because they're going to ask. Mm-hmm. And I was like on top of it. So I think I've been good at like spreading out everything I need to be doing. So it's not as stressful. But I think once we hit the 6-month mark and we have to start making all those decisions and like things are really going to start like piling up, I think that's when it's going to get stressful. But right now I'm kind of in like a calm before the storm.
And that's good. Enjoy that. Enjoy that while you can. Has there been a moment in life that opened you up a little bit more as a person or really established a sort of like mindset or ideology that you live by now? And can you curious what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I lived in Minnesota, I was a bully. I was a really bad child bully. I had really no friends when I left Minnesota because I was just like a mean and nasty person, and it stemmed from my own insecurities. So then when I moved to Arizona, it was like a fresh start for me. And at that same time, I got braces, I got glasses, and I had just cut my hair to like this awful bob for some reason. And so I was like a brand new person. And so all of my insecurities like really manifested themselves to like a much more intense place, and I couldn't hide behind like being mean to people anymore because I didn't know anybody. I wasn't gonna like introduce myself and be mean right off the bat. So I think that really forced me to be more considerate of others and more compassionate. And then from there, it's really stemmed to a place where I feel like I am a very, very compassionate person, and I have a really, I really try to consider like what other people are going through and just that there's always a factor, something else around me, like try to look at the positive side of things. Like my car got keyed and Riley was very upset and he's like, we have to hunt down who did this. And there was going to be no way because I didn't realize when it got keyed and it was probably like 2 weeks after. So we would never have known who did it. But I was like, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe I can take my car to get repainted at like a mom and pop shop. And this is the job that'll push them over for the month so that they're like in the green and they make it another month with their small business. And Riley was like, why do you think like that? Like your car got keyed, like I would be pissed. And I was like, I just always try to think of how to be positive and how to spin this in a way where I can be compassionate of others and realistic. Yeah. And then from that, I learned back when I was like in high school that you make a lot better and lasting friendships by being, first of all, confident in who you are and like not insecure, and then being like a real friend, being like compassionate towards people, considering that like maybe they're going through something, and if they're not, like being there to celebrate the highs but also being there for the lows.
Yeah, that's I remember when you first told me that story, I was shocked because I obviously know you now and I didn't know you then. So to me, that's just a night and day. But also it's a really good testament to growth is a very real thing, and we all can experience it. It can look in different ways for people. It can be a very immediate thing, or it could be something that takes a couple of years or so forth. And I love that that's what was the thing for you. Do you think at that time, were you aware at that time that you were that bully?
Not really. Like looking back, I definitely see that I was like mean and I didn't treat people very well. Because all the stories I think of like, oh, like I didn't get along with this girl and like she was so awful. And then I think back on it and I was like, I didn't give her a chance. Like I was kind of nasty to her. And I like think about that now and I try to be more like compassionate and more thinking like, well, you get out of a relationship what you put into it. So if you decide someone's going to know you right off the bat, like, you don't even give them the chance to show you who they really are.
This is also something that I think can make an impact on a lot of people when they listen to it. Is there a person, whether it's in a professional setting or a personal setting, that played a significant part in your life that you could go to and really made an impact in your life?
I would say my mom. My mom is a very, like, tell it like it is person. Like, she'll beat around the bush in, like, a respectful way to, like, be like, hey, you need to do this. But she's always been very truthful of, like, your actions or, like, what's causing this to happen. Or she's like, if I got in trouble when I was growing up, it wasn't just like, I rarely ever got grounded, but what I did get was like a sit down and like a long TED talk basically about like what I did, like what I'm going to do next time, like why this was wrong, like stuff like that. So my mom has been very good about trying to get me to think through things. And she's always been very matter of fact and like, this is what's going on. Like, she was the first one to kind of be like, you were mean growing up. She's like, but I've just like loved to see how much you've grown over the years and how compassionate you are now, and things like that. And she's the one who, when like in college, I almost joined an MLM because I'm a sucker for a sales pitch. And so I called my mom and I was like, this is a great opportunity. And she was like, Laura, this is a scam. Don't do this. And so she's been very much like, tell it like it is. I know that she's not gonna
like sugarcoat it.
Yeah, she's not gonna sugarcoat it. I wanted to say like bullshit, but I'm not going to say that. But things like that.
But I love that because as a mother, that's what I would like to provide to my daughter is this like space where she, can be her own person and like obviously make her mistakes or, have her lessons. But I also think it's really important when your parents are really honest with you and not necessarily in a way where it's like, you did wrong, like you messed up. How could you do that? You're so stupid kind of thing. Yeah. And more from like, yeah, you weren't a good person. How are you going to fix that? How are you going to change that moving forward? And there's actually one thing that you told me before, a story about your mom. And it probably stemmed from like me telling you like working from home with Evelyn's a nightmare. Like, and you shared that your mom, when she would feel overwhelmed, like she would leave, like not like leave forever, but she would step out of the room. Yeah. Or she would go into a closet or, whatever. And I've always loved that because it shows like you really get to kind of see as you get older, your parents being people. Yeah. Or you get to like have that, more vast perspective. And that story specifically really hit me because I'm just like, oh, I do that. Sometimes I go in my closet and I can hear Evelyn, where are you? And I was like, I just need a minute. I just need a minute. So that's always one of my favorite stories that you shared about your mom.
Yeah. It like also taught me too by her doing that is that like sometimes the best response to a situation is to take yourself out of it and give yourself time to calm down. You're probably not thinking clearly, or if you are, maybe you're acting with like more emotion than you should be or whatnot. So like taking yourself out of it, taking a deep breath, calming down, and then reassessing. Because I find even now, like if I do things like gut reaction, later on I'm like, ooh, I would have done that differently.
When you begin to like really sit with it, it doesn't sit well. I want to meet your mom just for like that reason. I'm like, how did you do it? Because you're one of three. Yeah.
I'm one of three. She would probably be like, why? I'm like, nothing special. And I'd be like, no, Mom, you are.
Yeah. So I want to end it with some kind of rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So the first question, if you could be on one reality show, what would it be?
I would want to be on Real Housewives.
And why is that?
I just love the Real Housewives franchise. I love that they spend all of their time eating out, traveling. There's always like a trip that happens. There's always like
do they
drama.
have a slogan, right? They each have their own.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about yours?
Oh, I have not. Like, okay. I feel like I have. I feel like I've been like, I should come up with a good slogan, but I don't like have anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, we'll get back to you guys on that. Lori will provide one. What was your first job?
I was a cashier at Chick-fil-A.
Okay, so do you usually some people, once they have their first job, they're like, I can never eat there again just because I've had it so much. Do you feel that way about Chick-fil-A now?
No.
Okay.
I eat there all the time.
What movie do you quote the most?
Do I quote the most? Lately, it's been Office Space.
Oh, okay. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
I was thinking of like a rom-com or even Lord of the Rings, like really.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings is such a good franchise, but it's kind of hard to like quote that
It's hard.
every day.
It doesn't quite like, it's not as universal.
Yeah. But Office Space is easy because I can be like, looks like somebody is a case of the Mondays. And then like that.
What was your last impulse buy?
This is going to be really boring. I found a hairbrush on Amazon, which like had incredible reviews for detangling. My hair is super long and I was like, I don't believe it. It's not going to work. So I bought it anyway. And it works really well. And I was shocked because it was only like $10.
Oh, wow.
But I guess if you were talking about like expensive impulse buy, I bought the Michael Kors tote bag. This is the tote bag. I mean, Marc Jacobs tote bag. This is the tote bag on it.
Oh, it says it on the bag?
It says the tote bag. And actually, Whitney encouraged me to buy it because I was thinking about it. And she was like, I just bought one as my diaper bag. And I want to be Whitney when I grow up. So I was like, I'm going to buy one too.
Yeah, she has, and honestly, like, every time I'm on, this is digressing, but every time I'm on any kind of call with Whitney, like, she always just looks so put together.
You know?
And I'm just like, I can't turn my camera on. I was like, I don't look like that. And her hair is just,
I know. I'm always like,
so
tell
much
me about your
going
hair.
on.
And
It's so good.
She's like, I got the Dyson hair wrap and it was expensive, but it's worth it. Like, she encourages me to like live my like bougiest life.
And we all need that.
I know, yeah.
Because we so much tell ourselves, no, you can't. You can't.
Yeah, you're like, I bought this Amazon curling iron for $30 back in 2016, and it still kind of works. So I should just keep it.
I love that. Last question. What was your last Google search?
Oh,
let's see it.
My Google searches are odd. Let me look at mine. Mine was, I was trying to figure out who said this quote, and it says, never seek revenge, rotten fruit will fall by itself. And I was like, oh.
Well, that's deep.
I know, I was thinking of it for like a social caption, but if it's like a real quote, I didn't want to use it. But apparently the only person who said it was Steve Harvey, which seems really random.
Those are all it for the rapid fire questions. Thanks for answering. And thanks again for sitting down with me and talking and just giving people a little bit more of a glimpse of who you are.
Yeah, I'll do this anytime. Have me back next month. Yeah.
Thanks again. And thanks everyone for listening. And we will chat with you guys later. Bye.
Bye.